What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the More Smarter Show, episode 29. Jake, what do we have on the agenda today?
Today we got Thomas Romanelli, who owns Local Social Marketing. Is it social media marketing or just social marketing?
It's just local social marketing.
Local Social Marketing. Nice. I love that name. First of all three of us got haircuts in preparation for this episode. So if you're watching on YouTube, F, Marry, Kill maybe. I don't know how you like everyone's haircut. Anyway, Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
So what the hell is local social marketing?
So local social marketing is essentially a full-blown marketing agency. So we do everything from social media management, videography, photography, drone footage, websites, SEO, app building, everything in the world of digital marketing that you could think of, we do it.
So you manage it for other people, and you prospect to business owners, and you go to them and you say, we can offer you new cutting edge social media.
Edge.
No, but I probably should. It sounds fancy.
You should. Yeah.
That'll definitely sell. So is that kind of one of the main stuff that you focus on? Is you focus on just representing clients in their marketing?
Yeah. So our main clientele as of now is business owners. So that ranges from, salons, cleaning companies, the whole nine, like all different kinds of companies. But our biggest thing that, at least this year, that we kind of are noticing we're kind of pivoting almost on accident into is the world of influencer marketing. So, we have influencers as clients who not only do we do their scheduling, their posting, their content creation, the whole nine like that, is we work out brand deals with them too. So our big focus kind of on that is to make sure, obviously influencers themselves can make a living on their social media platforms, right? Like obviously that's the main goal for people who post on social media, is to make it into a living. So our biggest focus is working with some of these influencers to really make sure that they are making money. So obviously, you have goals of like their biggest sponsorships or 2 or 3 that are paying them on a monthly basis, while, you have other stuff mixed in, whether, it's a candy company that send you $500 to do a video for them. So it's kind of a good balance of that. But I think that's also an area in which we're trying to grow in 2026. Is not like, obviously business owners were always going to be in the business field and helping, bring local awareness to these people. But I think having a good balance of like influencers to businesses not only helps the influencers in terms of making a living off their platform, but also it helps business owners, because let's say we have somebody who's in the beauty and wellness space. We also have salon clients who could be like, hey, let's work out a deal here. So it's almost like an offer that we can offer to the small businesses as well as the influencers.
So walk me through what it looks like. Let's use a cleaning company, for example. I feel like I could relate to that a little bit. What exactly do you do for a cleaning company?
Right. So the main thing for like a cleaning company is like finding the balance between we're a serious company and also showing more of the personality side. So some of the issues that we can sometimes run into is a lot of people are very hesitant in terms of dabbling in the entertainment world. They just kind of want to be seen as that serious, like we are just workaholics kind of brand, versus mixing in that like funnier side. So a lot of the times for like a cleaning company, for example, we do a lot of more trendy stuff because, there's only so much you could do when it talks about cleaning. So the trendy stuff, mixing in trends, mixing in not only the owners, but also the employees, so they can see like, hey, if I'm on social media, these are the people that are coming to my house. I know her. Like I talk to her all the time. I know her kids, stuff like that. So for us, it's really important to not only just, focus on the owners and who is the owner of the company, but also working in the employees who, if you hire them, you're going to see more likely than not.
And when you say you do these things for the cleaning company, are you going with a camera to the cleaning company and telling them what to do and writing scripts for them and then posting it?
Right. So yeah. So what we usually do is we have 2 separate shoots. So one is more focused on getting B-roll of obviously the girls or the guys cleaning the house, kind of stuff like that. And then we also have days where we go to the office and we do just like, that's where we do a lot of our trendy stuff, is we're in the office, do kind of stuff like that. And we can just get all the employees in one place. And then we mix in going out on site to a job site and getting B-roll and stuff that we can mix into other videos.
So you really are local.
Right, exactly. Like we are not, I've never been a fan of like, if I own a small business in South Florida, why am I going to hire a company in Washington?
Right.
Like they know nothing about the South Florida market. They know nothing about what clicks. Like the reality is where we are is very different than other places. Like we're sitting in 80-degree weather in January. Like that's very unique. And like people don't understand, they don't understand snowbirds. They don't understand that the months from November to April are the busiest season down here. Like those companies in other states will never understand that. And at the end of the day, they use stock B-roll, which is like a no-go for us.
Yeah. Do you find that a challenge to then plan for the future of growth, where like you really are only stuck to South Florida now? being like the local social company?
Right. I do think that location is definitely important. Like it's kind of obviously as we build here, it's kind of hard to, dabble in other places. We do have clients that we worked with in like Pennsylvania, for example, but that's more on like the website side. So it's like a lot of they already just give us their content that they've already had for years of being in business and we could just use that. Or for example, here a good example is we actually work with a guy in West Virginia who has been posting kind of on his own for a while and he has a lot of YouTube videos. So what we do is we take like he literally has his entire business with hours upon hours of information that we could use across Instagram, TikTok, all those other platforms. And we pull from those YouTube videos and post that as his like monthly content. So it's doable. But again, I'm not going to like AI create a video for a client. Like it's just not going to happen. So I'll utilize other stuff that they have because obviously they've still been talking about their business for years now.
So with that guy, it pretty much seems you take their YouTube videos, you plug it into Opus Clip, and then you send it over to them.
Never Opus Clip, bro.
So Dylan might have just asked this. I wasn't really listening, but you are somewhat maxed out, right? If you're staying local, like how many cleaning companies within a 10-mile radius are there?
So that's kind of the beauty about living down here is there's like ample businesses that need a lot. And honestly, you kind of run into the area, especially in the blue collar industry, is it's a lot of older individuals. And not that 40 is old, but like, you're talking like 40 to 65 who really didn't grow up in the world of social media. And in their mind, they're like, damn, I see everybody and their mother doing it. Like, I got to get on it, but I have no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, yeah, eventually you'll reach a point and like we are also, I know a lot of companies aren't big on this, but like the way we operate is like, for example, like if we have an HVAC company we work with that's local to this area that we're in, we're not going to work with another HVAC company that's within that 10 to 15 mile radius. Because to us, how can we promise a customer like, hey, we're going to deliver and get you all as many people in this vicinity as we possibly can, while we're also doing it for two other companies that are their main competition. So we kind of operate like
said
that.
No.
Yeah, we've said no before. And it's also just because, like, for example, like we work with multiple chiropractors, but those chiropractors, you're not realistically, how far are you going to drive for a chiropractor? 5, maybe 10 miles. And, these chiropractors are 35 miles apart. So like we do that without a doubt. But for us, it's like we can't promise top results when, you guys are all paying us a certain amount, but I'm also trying to fight between who's going to get what client. Like it doesn't make sense in our mind. As much as it sucks, you never want to turn down business. And thank God it doesn't happen as frequently, but like we do have kind of like the loyalty to the first people that kind of work with us in that vicinity.
I like that.
Now, what happens if you get the business of the mid-tier? Let's say there's 3 whatever cleaning companies. You get the business of the mid-tier person that has a certain budget, but then you start doing really well, and now the upper tier that has a larger budget to spend and give you money starts knocking on your door.
I mean, that's tough. We do like to do the loyalty first thing, whatever we kind of lock, like, we saw people locked into prices that, we started a year ago that we would never charge nowadays. But again, it's kind of just like the loyalty thing. Like if we promise you a certain thing or we promise you to deliver a certain price, whatever the case is, we don't really like dabbling in the whole, like, we're just going to dip because somebody's offering us more money. Like we try to keep that loyalty the best we can. Now, if we're talking $1,000 a month versus $10,000 a month, we might have to consider it, but couple $100 here and there, we'll suck up for it.
What you do on the day-to-day as owner of the company, tell me about that.
So it's pretty hectic. So this is kind of where some of the adjustments are going to hopefully come into 2026. But for now, for the most part, I'm kind of working with, so I have 2 team members I work with, Sebastian and Olivia. Olivia is kind of the one who comes up with the content ideas for our clients, does all the social media management stuff on that side. And then Sebastian is the one who handles all of our websites, designs, SEO, application building, all that kind of nine. But for me, as a business owner, like the one thing that I'm trying to work myself into is I'm still doing a lot of the videography. I'm still doing a ton of the editing. I have to do the contracts. I have to do the onboarding, all of those different things. So for me, like 2026, which I told Dylan a little bit about when I was with him, is like, I'm trying to find maybe that editor or maybe that videographer that I can rely on. I could be like, hey, I have to take 5 meetings today, right? Instead of me being like, okay, can we reschedule XYZ? Hey, you go to this shoot with Olivia, go get the content that we need for the month with this client while I take and onboard these new 3 to 5 clients. So for me, it's really a lot more pivoting instead of not being so much like video editing, more or less like, let's grow this, let's continue to add to the team and let's like scale out.
Yeah.
Thinking on the bigger picture. Now, one of the things you put in your application, and now you have the team of 3, Sebastian, Olivia, and yourself. Right. In 3 years, you want to have a team of 10. So do you see the other 7 people that you'd be bringing on as editors and photographers? Or
So for me, the biggest thing when starting was building the proper foundation. So for me, I consider me, Sebastian, Olivia, our foundation, right? So if that's the foundation, we're going to build the tree out on top of that because this is the three that are like the main foundation. Been here since, working when we had 3 clients, like, from kind of from the ground up in a way, especially Sebastian. He's been here since February with me. So literally I added him to the team a month in. But for me, the concept of building that up. So for me, one of the things too is like, I struggle with the idea of like giving somebody else the control to like talk to new clients and new prospects, right? Because for me, like it's with any industry, it's competitive. Everything's competitive, no matter what field you're in. And to me, the biggest thing that allows a client to pick somebody else, some people go with pricing, some people go with whatever. But the biggest thing to me is if we have 2 companies side by side, what's going to make you work with that company? And that's going to be the personality. I liked Thomas. I liked Olivia. I liked Sebastian. They were great, answered all my questions. We got along well. We laughed, whatever it may be. So for me, I think the foundation in terms of kind of going back to your question is like, building that foundation up is definitely going to be more on like the editor side, the videography side, the photography side, because just still has to obviously be people I can trust in terms of like doing the work the proper way and to the highest ability. But for me, like the number one thing that I will eventually have to expand on is trusting other people to talk to new prospects and new clients. But for me, like that's one thing that I want to still have control of, especially as we grow. Because for me, like I want people to want to work with us, not just want to work with us because we're the cheapest or whatever the case is.
So where are you now in your business?
In
You
terms
started
of
a year
like,
ago?
yeah. So it's going to be a year on January 17th.
Okay, so you started in 2025, right in the beginning.
Yep.
And are you new to the South Florida area?
Yeah, so I've been here for about a year and a half.
Okay, so you're new. You're meeting people while you're trying to get business.
Yep,
And
exactly.
how many clients do you have a year in?
So probably we've worked with about 60 to 70 clients, somewhere in there in our first year, which is really great. We're building a lot more. The biggest thing for us right now that we're continuing to grow in is our social media management that honestly kind of took off in like November of last year. So, we're working with, 15 consistent monthly management clients, which is great. But, we're just trying to really build off, we're trying to learn to be able to do things like bigger projects per se, like not necessarily, just necessarily a website design project for Sebastian's case. Like we want to be able to build out and build these fully functioning systems for people that aren't just, websites that exist on the internet with some solid backlinks built in. So for us, we're just trying to be able to offer more than just like an average marketing company of like, okay, here's a website redesign, call it a day. Like we want to offer things that can really allow people to scale their businesses upwards.
And now this is all monthly payments. I know you said the social media management is the monthly payment. And then the bigger projects are probably a one-time fee. What is like the pie chart of those payments?
So our social media management are all monthly. So we try to the one thing we're working on is getting people set up on either the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month. That's kind of like a basic, like usual plan for monthly payments like that. But for monthly management, yeah, those are just monthly payments either set up on the 1st or the 15th.
I've thought about this business before and the whole concept of it. And what scares me, not that this is my skill set at all, so I'm never going to be doing this anyway, but I've thought about it. And what scares me is that it's always got to be cool. You got to stay on your toes. You got to be all over it and know what's in. Whereas a compliance-based business doing paperwork or documentation for some company in the background, you could probably go a week off without really realizing until something shitty happens, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the hardest part, which I think is honestly a reason why a lot of people do outsource this work is because, you can't, how are you supposed to know what the trend is? Like, yeah, you could find a sound, but realistically, that sound was trendy a year and a half ago. So it's really keeping up on that stuff. But also like for us, the biggest thing when we talk about social media management with people, it's not the idea of, okay, you're going to post 12 times this month and we're going to get you 15 new clients from you posting. That's not the concept of social media. That's not how social media exists. The concept of social media is to stay in people's brains, right? So if I'm posting for a chiropractor, somebody might come across a chiropractor and they have nothing wrong. And they're like, oh, I think it's funny. I think it's entertaining. Let me give them a follow. And then a week down the line, that person might get into a car accident and be like, shit, I need a chiropractor now. Can I curse, by the way? Is that allowed?
Yeah, it's allowed. You're fine. we only allow one per episode. So
Okay,
you took our only
I
one.
started this off with F, marry, kill. I think we're good here.
Right,
Shit.
okay,
Yeah,
sure.
true.
But like, that's kind of the idea of the social media is like people might not need you right when they first follow you, but all of a sudden a month, 2 months, even the next day, something can happen in their lives where they're like, okay, I need you. Like, oh, I actually have a wedding next week that I didn't know about. I need a haircut. I need to get my hair done. And because they follow you, you're probably going to be the first person that pops into their mind. Oh, I've seen her stuff all over my Instagram page. Let me finally reach out.
So here's what's funny, Dylan. I've never told you this, but I did this study on myself. I'm also a real estate agent, and my past 15 clients. I did this a few months ago, but at the time, my past 15 clients, 9 of them follow me on Instagram.
Right.
You would think all 15 would, right? But only a little more than 50% do. And I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if that's a big enough sample size for it to be interesting, but for me it was. I was like, interesting. Maybe they checked me out though on Instagram. They just don't follow me. Maybe there is something there. I just thought, I don't know. You probably would have guessed more, right?
There's
Honestly,
a lot
I think
of
that's
that,
a pretty
though.
decent. Yeah, I think that's a decent number, honestly.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a good number. A lot,
Yeah, that is a good number.
I would say a lot of my clients don't. I mean, I even try to like follow them after a transaction, and I like can't even find their Instagram.
Isn't that interesting? Because that's how I am too in a lot of ways. So what does that say? I mean, I still think they search us, right?
Right.
Definitely. I mean, I would say definitely.
I think it's interesting. It's not necessarily, it proves your point, Thomas. It's not like you're getting leads from it, but it's credibility.
Right. It's building up the fact that you know what you're talking about. And again, I'm that person. I'm the person that would use somebody, but I wouldn't follow them on Instagram. I wouldn't do anything that would even tell them that I knew they existed before I decided to use their service. But it's consumer behavior. Everybody's different. Everybody goes grocery shopping differently. Everybody does everything differently. But it's just the idea of being in people's faces. We have a client who literally came to us and was like, listen, I don't need the business. I literally just want to build brand awareness. Just let's post on social media, let people know we exist, show them the cool stuff that we're doing. I don't care if I get any leads from it. So I guess that's kind of the concept.
So, I mean, I'm assuming you've ran through so many different obstacles of you can't actually show the benefit of your services.
Right.
Like it's hard to track that. So,
Exactly.
I mean, what's the pitch that for people that don't understand that?
Right. So the biggest thing that we want to promise a customer, and obviously, social media is kind of a game of its own, so it might not always be the case. But the biggest thing we want to show is like, listen, when we go over monthly analytics with you, you're going to see green. We want to show that you're growing views, engagement, followers, whatever the case is. We want to show that green month over month. Now, again, like you said, the biggest thing is people are like, well, what's my ROI? Well, I don't know. If you had somebody come into the office that's brand new, are you the one asking them, hey, where'd you come across us? But again, that could be from their website. That could be from Instagram. The reality is most people who go into a new business for the first time saw you somewhere on the internet for the most part, where they looked up chiropractors near me, whatever the case is, they're going to find you on the internet. When it comes to the specifics of that, we almost go bigger picture. So we have a client that we've had for literally since the beginning. And, sometimes we have the conversation with him. He's like, well, I don't really know my ROI from this. And we kind of join like the manager meetings, quote unquote, as like we're employees there in a way. But he goes through over numbers and everything. And it's like, to me, it's no coincidence that in your first year, finally going balls to the wall on your marketing, that your business has seen numbers it's never seen in its 20 years of existence. So to me, like, can I quantify and say you gained X amount of business from doing social media marketing? No, but come on, like the proof's right there. Like you had your biggest year when you finally invested in your digital presence.
What happens if there's a lead you get where it's a business who already has a good amount of following and a good amount of business from social media, but they want to turn it up a notch and go to the upper level? Is that something you would handle?
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, it's like kind of finding more of the niche, right? A lot of people are very basic in terms of what they go about. So like, day in the life, right? Like that's kind of like a basic approach. Like I'm going to just walk you through my day, right? Is there a way to, no, I love that content. I think it's great. Like we want to start doing it more this year for us.
He's posting a lot of them himself too.
Yeah, I've been trying to post some of that stuff.
Nice.
But like, there's people that have come to us and I post videos every day and I don't see any results. Well, you stuck your phone out and you filmed the room and called it a post. Like nobody cares, right? Versus, you see some of these crazy real estate edits. I'm sure you guys see them all the time. Like they're engaging. Like they're things that it's like, whoa, what did I just watch? So there's always a way in our mind, whether it's like even technology, like to be totally honest, and people, I might get a little bit of hate for this. If you're a marketing company promising social media content, right? And you're charging a client $2,500 a month to do said thing, and you walk in with an iPhone and a light on your iPhone, I would be mad. Like I would be tight if I was a business owner and you walked in with an iPhone and just a little light on your camera. Versus like if you show up with actual technology, you show up with good microphones, you show up with all these different things. I'm not saying technology it's make or break. But to me, like if you're going to charge a premiere price and you're not using premiere type things that make your videos not look iPhone quality, like that's to me like a big thing if I was to use like a marketing service.
Yeah.
And that might not matter to some people, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But to me, like we don't do that. Like we use top-notch equipment. And again, I didn't start off with top-notch equipment, but I still promised more than just walking in with my iPhone and standing there in front of your face like this. Like,
I think there's a couple of things about it though. I think it's the way that it actually looks, so like the product,
right.
and then it's the perception of it. So
Right.
to give a little story, when Jake and I first started this podcast back in February this year, I had that large gizmo camera that we did a couple podcasts with.
I'm not smiling.
And that camera gave the presence of it being a really cool podcast,
Right.
but the quality was like almost worse than the iPhone 4. Then there's the disconnect there. But it's the quality that really matters. So if you're
Right.
able to provide the quality and the presence, it's a win-win.
Exactly. And again, it's not the concept of you have to have the best technology in order to produce the best content. I don't think that's the case. But I do think it's a matter of there is a very clear difference if you're using a Sony camera versus you're using an iPhone, no matter how hard you try. People always post those videos sometimes of like, look, my iPhone can do what my camera did. I was like, there's no way that's even like what? Like I'm watching 4K quality. It looks like you filmed it on a movie camera. There's no way your iPhone did that.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just more or less the idea of like creating the high quality content that like I just am not a huge fan of the whole phone thing.
So I want to dive deeper into Thomas, the business owner, as
Okay.
opposed to the actual business itself. What do you want to be doing in maybe 3 years as part of your business?
Right. So for me, the basic answer is like be hands off, make $1 million a year and not put 5 hours a week in. Like that's obviously the basic answer. For me, I always want to be hands in. I'm very serious about the concept of like, even, working with Sebastian and Olivia, I want them to enjoy what they do every day. I don't want them to be like, oh, this guy's such a pain in my ass, X, Y, Z. For me, it always comes down to the fact of whoever we hire from here on out, I want them to, one, be doing something that, they dreamed of doing as a dream job, doing social media content, doing videography, whatever the case is. Like, I want them to enjoy that. I don't want it to just be, I just have to wake up and go to work, call it a day kind of thing. Like for me, like even hiring out, like I'm hopefully bringing on somebody here in the next few days. His passion is to work doing videography, doing editing, doing like building personal brands full time. And for me, like I take a passion in being able to offer that to him instead of him working, I think he worked at like a store of some sort full time. Now he has the opportunity to do what he loves full time. But for me as like a business owner, like, do I want to be necessarily just a marketing owner my whole life? No, of course. Like Dylan knows that very well. I have other aspirations of owning other things. I'm getting equity in certain companies that I really believe in. That's kind of like where I am as a business person is, yeah, marketing is great. That's kind of where I'm going to build, my foundation of being a business owner, all those different things. But for me, moving and being able to not only own and have equity in different things, it's being able to use everything that I learned from starting this marketing company and also utilizing that to grow other businesses that I'm a part of. The number one thing every company needs is marketing. So for me, like being able to utilize that knowledge and grow anything and everything, because I've worked in so many different industries with so many different clients that do different things. For me, that's kind of my goal as a business owner is just be able to utilize that in other avenues.
Yeah. And where you're kind of leaning to is the do you want to talk about the ownership in the companies that you have right now? Okay.
Yeah,
so right now you're in talks or already is a case.
You good?
Jesus.
Or it already is the situation where you're now taking your business and offering it to a company without a fee, but an ownership stance.
Right.
So now you're able to leverage the thing that you're already getting people to pay you for to become an owner in multiple different stuff. So
exactly,
that is where I can see as a massive future.
Into that.
Yeah. So, I mean, just the kind of idea around it was a matter of like, when I come across these clients, right? Like a lot of people aren't going to give up equity in their business. They're just not. Like, do I feel necessarily comfortable giving up equity? Probably not. But there are people out there that know they need help and know they have the right product, but they don't know how to get it out. They can't afford to hire a company to get it out. So in the back of my mind, and Dylan and I had conversations about doing this in other industries as well. But for me, like, I won't go into full details of it because nothing's finalized set in stone, but there is a company that I'm trying to get equity in because I believe in not only the people, but also I believe in the message that they're trying to spread through their company, right? So for me, like, can they afford a $2,000 a month package? No, absolutely not. Especially getting into conversations, more financial conversations with them, talking they can maybe afford $300-400 a month to manage. And like, we don't want to sound, stuck up or anything, but like, we're not going to take that on. We're just not going to. We don't have the capacity to take on unless it's at a certain price. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I have the resources that they need. I have the ability to create and grow their brand to how I think it could grow through influencers, through their website, through having Sebastian and Olivia's ideas to throw into the mix. So basically, I came up with the idea of like, okay, if they can't afford it, let me just offer them what they can't afford in exchange for a type of equity. So that's kind of been the approach of, if I really believe in something and I really believe that we can help scale them so bigger than they could even imagine, then might as well throw the idea of a smaller percentage and we'll do it for free of charge, basically.
How old are you?
24.
Cool.
Yeah.
Important context.
So I know T because we play baseball together at Mount Olive, and I more than just the business itself is gotta give T like the credit he deserves for being in New Jersey and PA his whole life, and then really, I mean, he was in Florida for one summer before that, but starting a business in a whole different state where you
Yeah.
literally know no one is so hard to do. I can't even really
Yeah.
imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah, that is great. I'm actually going to be in Florida for a whole month coming up in
Yeah?
Dylan's
Where at?
girlfriend's condo.
Where at? Oh,
Dylan's
where's she
girlfriend's
at?
condo in Orlando.
Oh, Orlando, right.
Yeah.
Wait,
So
she
I'm
still has
gonna.
access to that condo?
Well,
Yeah,
not
it's a
any-
12,
not
yeah,
anymore.
not for a month. Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
see. Maybe I'll be starting a business out there for a few weeks.
Yeah, sick, man. Dude, I'm telling you, I don't care what anybody says. It's the place to be, man.
Yeah, I'm
You're living
excited.
paradise 5'8".
So I want to get back to you made a comment earlier that stuck out to me, and you described being hands-on, even though I think you said hands-in, but we'll call it
Right.
hands-on
Right.
on the business and how you want to remain hands-on.
Right.
But you just to me you described hands-off.
Right.
You were describing to me being the owner of your employees and managing them and bringing in new people, changing
Right.
their lives and optimizing the internal business. And to me, I describe that as hands off because you're not the ones talking to the customer.
Right. Well, to me, that is a thing that I don't know when I'll ever be able to get off that train because I am so particular on how we approach people. I plan on speaking to them, even if we grow to $1 million this year, like I plan on continuing to speak to them because again, that's one of those things like I really have to trust somebody who's taking those calls. It could all change based on how many things on other pots my hands are in. But of course, the idea is for me, if I could talk to customers, like I could literally sit here all day and have face-to-face conversation with customers and I would love my life. I love talking to people. I love, convincing them that we're a better company than the 7 others that they're talking to. So for me, you are right. In theory, it is more of a hands-off approach. But for me, like the one thing that I'm going to really struggle giving up, not even necessarily the videography, photography, there's people 10 times better than I am. But for me, that's the one thing that not everybody can do is kind of be that people person.
I feel the
and
same
really
way for my stuff. I feel the exact same way. That's what I love doing. And I don't really want to ever give that up, I think.
Right.
At least
that's what I mean. Like even if you think about the companies that use these call centers, so you want some random person sitting in another country to answer your phone calls. To me, that makes zero sense. Who's going to describe your business better than yourself?
Totally. And I mean, even making like outbound calls, like I know those types of services make those outbound calls.
Right.
Your conversion rate is going to be trash.
Right. Right. But you pay them $10 an hour and call it a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. But so T, keep going through these different like variations. So if I come to you, so I'm T's client right now. He's Sebastian, who is a wizard, is making a website for me right now. You are, from what I've seen, it's the reason why you like to do social and not like social media is you're able to help a client with all things social. Right. Is that like a conscious thing that you're doing? Is like specifically not saying social media because you can do everything?
Yeah, I think if you come across as niching it down to only one thing, like even the one thing I know a lot of people might disagree, but like one of the things I never wanted to do is be a niche company, right? Like, so there's companies out there that just tailor towards chiropractors, or there's just companies out there that just tailor towards HVAC companies, right? And yeah, are they going to become masters in that industry? For sure. But for me, I always wanted to be the creative side. I've worked with some realms of the world that I didn't even know exists. One of our biggest clients is a sprinkler company. I don't know anything about sprinklers. I couldn't tell you the first thing about sprinklers or how they operate or whatever the case is. But again, like for me, that's what allows us to be creative, right? every sprinkler company in the world is going to be so basic, right? Like they're just going to say, we're corporate, look at this super dope product we created. We don't care. Like we don't care. Like inevitably we don't. Even they say it. Like nobody cares about this, right? So for us on a creative side is we're able to offer, how do we make sprinklers fun? Like seriously, how do we make your content not like everybody else's and not boring? If we just niche down and we're like, okay, guys, we are a social media marketing company for HVAC companies. You're first of all niching yourself very small, even though, there's a ton of HVAC companies, but a lot of them work with marketing companies. But for us, if they can come to us and be like, do you do social media management? Yeah, okay, we work for them for a month on social media management, continue into month 2. And then they're like, wait, actually, I need website design. They don't need to go out and search for another company that does website design or another company that does Google ads, because we are all one-stop shop for anything that they would need. And that's how I wanted it to be, especially once I brought Sebastian on. Seeing what he can do just made me realize we can do anything and everything we want. And what more value would we provide to customers by offering anything they would ever need?
So what does a day in your life look like?
So usually it's waking up and editing. So I usually start off my day with coffee, of course, like obviously. Starting it off with coffee and then really focusing on getting all the editing done that we need. I usually keep like a list of who was first. We kind of keep our own queue basically to make sure we're not missing anything, or we're not doing the filming we just did yesterday, editing that first, then keeping the people that we had filmed with 2 weeks ago on hold. So usually it's starting off by editing, going to any shoots that we have. Usually me, Sebastian, Olivia have calls pretty much every day, if not every other day, going through that stuff. Yeah, my main focus is videography and the editing side.
So you're
most of my
editing.
weeks-
I
yeah.
feel like that's an easy hire.
It is an easy hire. Again, I'm picky, right? So like they need to understand, like we have brand guides, we have certain things that we follow. Like the hardest thing is being able to replicate, right? So if we get called to an event, I'm very particular on this is the style we offer. If I'm going to convince somebody to work with us for an event or for whatever the case is, this is what we show them. So if we aren't replicating this or being able to do the same thing, mixing in drone shots, mixing in close-ups, mixing in far away, pannings, whatever the case is, it's very hard to find somebody who can replicate that.
What you could do though is pretty simply is something that Jake is a massive fan of, lover boy of it, is Loom. You do a Loom video and say, hey, what up, editor? This is exactly how we would film a whatever event. And this is exactly how we would film it, and this is how we want to edit it, and this is how we want it to be perceived.
Right. But again, like kind of keeping along with the brand identity is it easier for me to just be like, hey, guy in India, like, let me pay you $10 for this video? Like, yeah, of course it would be. But for me, we have people in California working for us. We have people in Maine working for us. Our editors, you could find editors anywhere. Fiverr's a freaking hot spot for editors of any kind. But for me, like, I don't want to do that to a client. Like, I don't want to say, hey, we're producing content for you, but by the way, we're not editing any of it, or we're not really doing much of any of it. So like for me, hiring local is like again, it's in the name, like local. Like we are local. We're not an outsourced company. We aren't going to use stock B-roll. We aren't going to do any of that. Like we are at your disposal within anywhere in South Florida.
I don't know how I feel about that. I think I would object to a lot of that. I think, if I may, I have a property management company that's local to Hoboken. I don't live in Hoboken. The other owners don't live in Hoboken. Our employees are in the Philippines, but we are local because that's where our business is. That's where all of our vendors are. That's where our people are. I don't think they care who's editing. I think they care who's showing up, but I don't think they care who's in the background.
Right. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. It's more or less a mental thing for me. A lot of our clients use VAs. They use all kinds of different people that help them run their business that live nowhere near South Florida. And again, I'm totally not against people who do that, or if I might just have a VA to do my contracts moving forward. That's one thing I thought about. There's certain things that, like, I don't know, it's more of a mental thing, I think. Just a matter of there's certain tasks that I don't want to outsource because I just think it takes away from the personality and of what we do.
I think you will get capped to a certain point.
For sure. No doubt.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, there's also so many editors that are everywhere. You know what I mean? It's not even necessarily what you have to find online. You could hire a college kid who probably is a Premiere Pro fiend. So they're available everywhere.
Actually. That's a good idea. Yeah.
So to me, will there be a point where I'm going to have to probably bring on a bunch of editors? Yeah. But either way, if I could keep it local and I can afford to keep it local, I probably will.
I think it really only matters about what the outcome is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the way that I look at it is you can still keep the local name by having an editor's name out there. You know, the way that I'm thinking of it is you record it and then you get an automatic email gets sent out from your editor, Maurice, and Maurice sends the client an email saying, hey, this is Maurice. I'm editing your video right now. It should be done in 48 hours.
Right.
That's a local response, in my opinion.
Yep. Well,
Wherever Maurice is.
If I didn't know you had a team as the business owner, I would be like, oof, okay, Thomas, he's a year in, so it makes sense why I get all his attention now. But what
Right.
he's an ambitious guy. What happens when his business doubles a year from now?
Right.
And now I'm monitoring you if you don't hire and you don't go unlocal. I'm more concerned as the business owner for that.
Right. No, yeah, it's a valid fear for sure. I am kind of putting myself in a trap in terms of the people that I work with now that I've been working with for 8 months or more. If I send a random videographer that we just recently hired to their gig, they're gonna be like, "What the hell's going on here? I didn't hire this guy. I hired you." So that again, I am kind of signing myself up to kind of again not really be so hands off as quickly because a lot of these people have certain expectations for how they've been working with us for 8+ months now. So if we start changing that up or switching it up, we're gonna probably run into some issues there. But again, I guess that's more of like a cross
Yeah,
that we're gonna
Dylan,
get.
talk about us as realtors that are dealing with the exact same problem, or at least
Yeah.
you are too, right?
So, I mean, totally. There's no way around of not being the guy when you
Right.
present yourself as the guy.
As the guy.
You
Right.
know?
Well, I mean, as when we started, right? I'm older than you guys, but I've been in the business for like 6 years. And 6 years ago, when I was someone's realtor, I was way different than I am today. Not only my
Right.
haircut and more handsome, but I was also just a different person. So I'm working with people again, and still, right? 6 years later, I have multiple repeat clients,
Right.
and they expect the Jake that showed up 6 years ago.
Right.
But that Jake doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And I can pitch it in a way because it truthfully is a better of Jake. It's just
Right.
different.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a
Totally.
great point.
Yeah, I mean, for me though, where my mind immediately goes with that is when you're pitching yourself as like the self-employed person, like a realtor would be, or if you're like the new entrepreneur, you are the person that is showing up to everything. If you don't set the precedent that you are an ambitious young person that is trying to grow their business, you're never going to break outside of you doing the work itself. And
Right.
to bring up a past podcast past episode that we had an electrician on, and he was like, you can grow your business and be the person at the desk and manage all these people that are coming out, and you may not have as much control over each job site and live with that, or you can be the person that it's you and another guy in a van driving around all over the place, but you'll never be able to step away. And there's two ways of the life, and I'd rather live the delegation way.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. I mean, the scaling process itself is very difficult, I think, for a lot of business owners because it's like, really, how do you take that next step? And like, that's why I feel like a lot of people almost hire the coaches per se, because it's like, okay, like I have all this money coming in, I have employees that help me cover it, but like, how do I get to that next level? And I think that's especially important, especially kind of in the world we're all in, is how do we get to that next point? How do we get, okay, we passed 6 figures, we passed a certain goal that we had. How do we get to that next step? And I think that's where a lot of discussion comes in.
Yeah, I've been starting to say in my sales calls that I want to be the last man standing. That's what
Right.
that's a term I use when I introduce this idea.
Mhm.
I say I want to do this forever. I want to
Right.
be relentless, and therefore here is my systems and how this is going to go.
But you don't want to be the last man standing, like you're going to be the last man standing, maybe the name wise,
The company,
but the way that,
the business.
yeah, but I mean, the way that you're going about the work though is way different than a traditional, real estate agent. And that's what will prompt you to be the last man
and I
standing. That's what you're
describe that exactly. I want to do this forever. Therefore, I don't want to get burnt out, and that's not how I do it the typical way, I guess.
Now, how often though, just I guess for T's sake, to learn the power of delegation and how it would affect the amount of business you get, how often do clients say, you're not the right person for me then?
Never.
Is that a question for me or for
For
Jay?
me, I think never. But we're in different businesses, Thomas and I, because people who are reaching out to be a real estate agent, it's a personal thing. They know us, they referred to us in some way.
Right.
I don't know if you get clicks that don't really know you personally or refer to you personally, but it would be a tougher conversation if I was talking to people that were multiple people away from me.
Yeah, I mean, people are very unpredictable. Like we've had, every business has its own horror stories, but like, you have people that like will go through an entire project with them. Sebastian will go start to finish, constant communication, constant XYZ, and quite literally at the end of the project, you're like, actually, no, I hate it. I want to change it completely. Whoa, what? Like, we just went through a month and a half. You knew exactly what the updates were. When we got to Dylan's site, if he could come back, we were basically done with it. And he's like, actually, no, I'm going to change it completely and go a whole different route. So it's like, more or less, that's kind of where, for me, the people side comes in, right? Because a normal person who's just like an employee of said company would just be like, I don't care. I don't care. It's not my problem. But from the business and personal side, it's like, no, you don't want to lose that business. You don't want that person to go around Palm Beach, Florida and saying, never use this company in your life. Like, that's one thing I refuse to ever let, is like, even if we let people go, or it didn't necessarily work out, like, at the end of the day, you still want that person to talk highly of you in terms of like, oh, he handled the situation great. They handled it great. They did XYZ the proper way. And for me, like, again, that goes back to the people side, is if you have somebody who doesn't necessarily bought into the idea of the business, you're going to have people that go on Google and leave you the 1-star review and say, this company absolutely sucks. So again, it's kind of like that balancing act.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly a balancing act. I get those expectations out in the beginning, so I don't get a bad review, because if you hear that on the first call, you don't know me. There's no review.
Right.
And just don't be a dick. Never be a dick. Like, never be an asshole. That's my motto. I'll tell you the truth, but I'm not a dick. You can't tell me I'm a dick for telling you the truth, you know?
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe that's the name of the episode.
Yeah,
Don't be
bring the no cursing to a whole nother level there.
Yeah.
All right, so T, where can like listeners find you and work with you?
Yeah, man. So we have our own website, localsocialmarketing.com. You can go on there, you can see all our services that we offer, kind of, we have a little intro section where you can get a little know about somebody on the team if you want. But yeah, we have our Instagram, Local Social LLC. That's kind of where we host most of, our videos, or showcase kind of like our portfolio of work. But yeah, website, Instagram, those are kind of the two main spots.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on and letting us learn a little bit more about your business.
Definitely a repeat guest. We'll have you on as your business grows next year.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to the More Smarter Show, episode 28. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Only if you like it.